It all started with something so simple, a chance encounter that no one saw coming. A brief, 15-minute moment that would change everything for two people who once shared a love the world couldn't stop talking about, Kenyaman and Demet Özdemir. That morning, Rome was calm. The streets glowed under the golden light of the Italian sun. Ken was there for a commercial shoot, something he'd done countless times before. His team had just wrapped up a long meeting, and he decided to take a short walk before heading back to the hotel. What he didn't know was that just a few blocks away, Demet was also in Rome, quietly visiting a friend, trying to escape the noise of Istanbul and the rumors that never seemed to leave her alone. For years, the world had whispered about them. Every look, every word, every silence between them had been analyzed and turned into headlines. But this time, there were no cameras. No directors. No fans screaming their names. Just two souls who thought they'd moved on, until fate, or something else, crossed their paths again. When Ken turned the corner of Via dei Condotti, his phone buzzed. He looked down, distracted, then raised his eyes, and froze. She was there. Demet. For a split second, neither of them moved. The noise of the city faded. The world stopped spinning. Time itself seemed to hold its breath. She was wearing a simple beige coat, her hair tied loosely, her eyes hidden behind dark glasses. But Ken would have recognized her anywhere. It was the same face he'd seen 1,000 times, in scenes, in dreams, in memories that refused to fade. She smiled, just slightly. That smile that once could calm every storm inside him. And suddenly, all those years of silence, all the things they never said, came rushing back in a wave of emotions neither of them were ready for. He took a step forward. She didn't move. Their eyes met, and in that instant, both of them knew this wasn't just coincidence. Because sometimes, destiny doesn't knock twice. It waits until you've stopped believing, and then it finds you again, just to see if your heart still remembers. And Ken's heart did. Neither of them spoke at first. It was as if words would ruin the fragile silence between them, a silence that carried more truth than anything they could ever say. Ken's voice was the first to break through. Soft, uncertain. Demet, it's been a long time. Her lips parted slightly, her breath trembling just enough for him to notice. Yes, she whispered. Too long. They both laughed, not because anything was funny, but because it was easier than facing the weight of everything that hung between them. Years of distance. Endless rumors. Messages left unsent. Calls that never came. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. The world believed they had forgotten each other. That their lives had gone separate ways. But standing there, on that quiet Roman street, surrounded by the smell of coffee and the sound of distant bells, it felt as if no time had passed at all. Ken asked her if she wanted to walk. She nodded. And just like that, they started moving side by side again, the way they used to, when everything between them felt effortless. For 15 minutes, they were no longer actors, no longer public figures. Just Ken and Demet. Two people trying to make sense of the memories that never left them. They talked about work, pretending to be casual. She mentioned a new project, her voice steady, but her eyes revealing something else. He smiled, saying he'd seen it, that she looked incredible. She blushed. It was the kind of small, unplanned moment that once came so naturally between them. But beneath the light conversation, there was a quiet tension. A shared awareness that this meeting, this accident, meant something. That maybe the universe was giving them one more chance to finish a story they never really ended. As they reached the small cafe near Piazza di Spagna, Demet stopped. Ken, she said softly, I didn't expect to see you. Not here. Not now. I didn't either, he admitted. But maybe, we were supposed to. Her eyes glistened for a moment, catching the sunlight like tears that hadn't yet fallen. Do you really believe that? She asked. He looked at her, really looked. I didn't, he said. Until now. The sound of her quiet laugh broke the tension, but her heart was racing. She'd spent so long building walls around herself, protecting what was left of her peace. And yet, in those 15 minutes, every wall began to crumble. They sat down, ordered coffee, and talked as if time had been waiting for them to catch up. But deep down, both knew this wasn't just a coincidence. It was the beginning of something neither of them had planned. But maybe both still wanted. The cafe was small, hidden away between narrow streets lined with ivy and old stone walls. It was the kind of place no one would think to look for them, quiet, safe, timeless. For a while, it felt like the rest of the world didn't exist. Demet wrapped her hands around the warm cup, watching the steam rise and disappear. She smiled faintly, but her eyes told a different story. A mixture of nostalgia, confusion, and something softer, something she thought she'd buried years ago. "Do you ever think about, back then?" she asked suddenly. Ken looked up from his cup, a trace of a smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Every day," he said without hesitation. She didn't expect him to answer so quickly. For a second, she couldn't meet his eyes. "You shouldn't," she murmured. "It's all in the past." "But the past doesn't always stay where we leave it," he replied. The words hung between them, heavy, honest, undeniable. And for the first time in years, neither tried to hide behind polite distance or rehearsed smiles. They talked about Kenzie Cuss, the show that had brought them together, how everything had started as a simple project, and how it became something so much more. He remembered the long nights on set, the laughter, the inside jokes that no one else understood. She remembered the quiet moments between takes, when they didn't need to speak to feel connected. "So much has changed since then," she said quietly. "Has it?" he asked. "Or have we just tried to convince ourselves that it has?" Demet looked at him, that same intense gaze that had once made the world believe their love story was real. Maybe it was. Maybe it still was. But before she could answer, her phone buzzed. A message from her manager. Reality, crashing back in. She looked down for a moment, then turned the phone face down on the table. Ken watched her, his jaw tightening slightly. He knew that look, the way she tried to hide her emotions behind professionalism. "You still run from the hard questions, don't you?" he said softly. Her head lifted, eyes sharp but not angry. "And you still ask them when you know the answer won't change?" A brief silence followed, not cold, but fragile. The kind that carried more truth than words ever could. He leaned back, studying her, memorizing her face all over again. 15 minutes, he said quietly. "That's how long it's been since I saw you again. And somehow, it feels like no time at all." Demet smiled faintly, almost wistful. "Or maybe," she whispered, "time just waited for us to catch up." Outside, the sky was beginning to shift, sunlight fading into the soft gold of afternoon. Neither of them knew what those minutes meant yet. But both felt it, something had changed. The air between them had shifted. That easy calm was gone, replaced by something deeper, a quiet storm neither could name. Every word, every pause, every shared glance seemed to dig a little closer to the truth they'd both avoided for years. Demet leaned back, her voice barely above a whisper. "You know, people still ask me about you," she said. "Every interview. Every time I post something, someone always brings your name up." Ken smiled faintly, but his eyes darkened. "And what do you tell them?" "I tell them it's all in the past," she replied, her tone steady, too steady. "But sometimes," she added softly, "I wonder if I'm lying to them, or to myself." For a moment, neither spoke. The sound of coffee cups clinking in the background filled the silence. Ken looked at her, the woman who had once been both his calm and his chaos. He could still see the girl who had laughed with him under fake rain on set, the one who had looked at him like she saw the real him, not the star, not the public figure, just the man behind it all. He reached for his cup, hesitating before saying, "There's something I never told you. After we stopped talking, I tried to move on. I really did. But every time I thought I had, I'd hear your laugh somewhere, or see something that reminded me of you. And suddenly, I was right back where I started. Demet's hands trembled slightly. Can, he leaned forward. I'm not saying this to make things complicated. I just need you to know that those 15 minutes, they've reminded me of everything I lost. Her eyes glistened, and she tried to blink away the tears before they fell. But it was too late. One slipped down her cheek, landing softly on her sleeve. You didn't lose everything, she said. You just stopped fighting for it. Those words hit harder than either of them expected. Because they were true. The silence that followed was painful, but real. The kind of silence that happens when two people realize how much time has passed, and how much they still care. Finally, Demet stood up, brushing away her tears. I have to go, she said quietly. If I stay any longer, I'll start believing that nothing's changed. Ken rose too, his heart pounding. Maybe nothing has. She gave him one last look, a look filled with all the words they'd never said. Goodbye, Can. He wanted to stop her, to say something, anything, but his voice failed him. He watched as she walked away, disappearing into the crowd of Rome, just like before. But as he stood there, frozen, something deep inside him whispered that this wasn't the end. That destiny, or whatever force brought them together again, wasn't done yet. Because sometimes, all it takes is 15 minutes to remember what a lifetime tried to make you forget. That night, neither of them slept. Demet lay awake in her hotel room, the dim light of Rome's skyline spilling through the curtains. Her mind replayed every second of that encounter, the way his voice trembled when he said her name, the way his eyes searched hers like he was afraid she'd vanish again. It felt unreal, like a dream she didn't want to end. But dreams fade. And the cruel part was, this one had felt real. She reached for her phone more than once. Her thumb hovered over his number, the same one she'd memorized years ago but never dared to delete. She wanted to call, to say something simple like "Are you okay?" or "I shouldn't have walked away." But pride, or fear, held her back. Meanwhile, across town, Ken sat on the hotel balcony, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him. The night was quiet, but his thoughts were loud. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't thinking about scripts or cameras. He was thinking about her. 15 minutes, that was all it took to undo years of pretending. He picked up his phone, opened her contact, and stared at the screen. The last message between them was years old, a simple "good luck tomorrow." Nothing romantic, nothing revealing. But now, it felt like a ghost from another life. He typed, "I should have said more today." Then hesitated. Deleted it. Typed again. "I didn't expect to see you, but maybe I needed to." Deleted that too. In the end, he locked his phone and whispered into the night, she wouldn't answer anyway. But destiny, that strange, stubborn thing, wasn't done with them yet. The next morning, Demet woke up early, her flight back to Istanbul scheduled for noon. She walked through the same street they'd met, almost out of instinct. The cafe was open again, empty except for one table near the window, the one where they'd sat. On it, the waiter had left something. A folded napkin with a note written in hurried handwriting. If it was just coincidence, I'll let it go. But if it was something more, call me. Her heart stopped. The number was his. She held the note tightly, her hands trembling. For a moment, she looked out the window, the same corner where they'd first locked eyes. The same street where time had stopped for 15 minutes. And then, she smiled. Not the smile of an actress or a woman pretending to be fine. But the kind that comes from somewhere deep, where hope still hides even after everything's fallen apart. She didn't call right away. But she didn't throw the note away either. She slipped it into her bag, close to her heart, and whispered to herself, maybe it wasn't a coincidence after all. Because sometimes, fate doesn't give you explanations. Just moments, 15 minutes that change everything, and a choice to either forget them, or follow where they lead. And for Can and Demet, that choice was only just beginning.